All right, good evening, and welcome to Porch Chat. We're excited you could join us. It's a little bit chillier than when I tweeted out that I was going to sit on the porch, but I'm here, and there's a good reason for it. We'll share that in my dad moment of the week. Welcome to episode 53 of Dads and Ed, and just on cue, the neighbors let the dogs out. In case you ever wondered who it was that let the dogs out, it's my neighbors. Um, Josh Allen, Tech Integration, Lewis Central Schools. Three wonderful kids, one on the way, and one beautiful wife. Pleased, as always, to be joined by. Now, last week I threw it to Brent. He had to go second. So, Brent, can you go first this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, First, it was a dog fight with Devin's dogs just before we got on air, and now there's dogs across the fence in Josh's backyard. So, Brent Catlett here from Independence, Missouri, Director of Technology. The lovely Mrs. Catlett is my wife, who is in earshot tonight, so the peanut gallery could be in full effect. And five kids from almost 10 down to 1-year-old who recently started to sign for more food. So the little fella is on the move.
Taking after his dad.
That's right. Don't miss any meals.
That's right. Give me more. Give me more. More.
That's right.
Devin Schoening, the instructional technology something or other at Council Bluffs Schools in Council Bluffs, Iowa. My lovely wife, Erin, and two great kids, Gracie and Claire, 4th and 6th grade. And, we're kind of winding down this year, but my Gracie doesn't want the school year to end. It's the first, I think. Not that my kids don't like school, they do, but we kind of are getting ready for summer and going places, and she's kind of like, I want to stay in school. And so we might have to find something for her to do at school this summer.
My kindergartner's like that. I don't think they realize that school is coming to an end here in like 3 weeks, but my 8-year-old does. He's fully aware. Especially when we talked about homework this weekend. Only 3 more weeks of homework. He was pretty excited about that.
Well, I would be excited about that too.
Yeah. But anyway, if you are interested in connecting with the show, and shout out to the neighbors for bringing the dogs back in, you can tweet at us at Dads and Ed. Use the hashtag Dads and Ed. Use that anytime. We love to retweet you throughout the week. Former guest Joe Mazza tweeted onto it today, so we take those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you missed part of the show, there's a couple ways you can check out the podcast, dadsanded.podbean.com. Subscribe at iTunes. We are a member of the now 1-year-old Education Podcast Network, so you can find us on there along with a lot of other great other podcasts at edupodnet.com. I think that's right.
Josh, I want to give you a shout out, buddy, for taking one for the team and representing Dads and Ed on the Edu Podcast Network's first birthday.
Yeah.
In the live blab.
Yeah, so Chris Nessie, I appreciate that. Chris Nessie, who has been on the show and was gracious enough to invite us into the network. Friday was the first anniversary of the first post for the network, so he did 3 hours of inviting all the different podcasts on, and I signed up for late because I knew I'd be busy and the kids would be asleep by then, so had a good 20-30 minute conversation with them just about the show, and stuck around to listen to a few others after the fact. And I forget who was on after me. She does the Cult of Pedagogy, Jennifer Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And her first question was one I had forgot to ask, but she asked him if he'd been to the bathroom yet. He goes, no, but we're almost done. So very cool of him to take 3 hours out of his time just to do that, not to mention setting everything up. He had slides for all of us for questions about it or about us and information about all the podcasts. So he really busted his tail for it, and I think he's up to like 25 or 26. Like we were in the top 15 or so. I think that's about right for being asked to be on there. But
yeah.
We have a Voxer group, and he mentioned the other day that the newest one is called Kindergarten Kiosk.
Yeah.
and it's a mother and daughter who both teach kindergarten, which I think that'd be an outstanding podcast to listen to.
Yeah, I think I'm totally going to check that one out. I heard him talk about that on there as well, and I thought that was an interesting concept. So I think I think I'm going to check that one out too.
I think anytime. Go ahead, Brent.
I was just going to say there's so many great ones out there, and great use of Blab. I know we've talked about different ways of recording our podcast, and I love, Josh, how you said on the Blab, like, we're just going to kind of stick with what works. It ain't broke, you know. Granted, it's constantly broke, but that's just how we roll.
You know what? And it's funny. Like as I said that, I'm like, we have issues every week, and I'm gonna stick with what's worked. So
part of our charm.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, I guess.
But there are a ton of great podcasts. I've been slowly but surely trying to take in more, and you were giving me a hard time for the show about my travels to the South, but when I do get a chance to be in the car, I find myself really gravitating toward listening to podcasts instead of the radio or whatever and other music. I just have really enjoyed soaking up as much as I can there when I'm just kind of killing time in the car.
Here's the thing, and this isn't knocking the podcast because they're great quality, but sometimes with podcasting, I'm more interested in listening to something that's not educational. I mean, not like job related. I love the different sports podcasts, and I've gotten hooked on one. I think it's from USA Today called Dad Rock, and it's all about music and different types of things. So I don't know. I mean, is that what you're listening to? Is educational stuff?
For the most part, yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I haven't really delved into that other world, but yeah, I would say for me it's mostly educational ones.
Devin, how many do you listen? I mean, how often do you listen to them?
I don't. I go through stretches. I'll go through stretches where I'll listen, while I'm if I'm at work sitting at a desk or in the car, and then I'll go through stretches where I don't listen much at all. But I think the ones that I enjoy more than anything, more than even some of the education ones, are the storytelling ones. I love the couple of the NPR shows, and let's see, one called Invisibilia, Hidden Brain, Serial. Kind of these ones that that really do kind of tell stories versus just kind of have people talking. Like this one.
yeah. Ironically enough, yeah. Yeah, I haven't gotten into those. I haven't gotten into necessarily some of those popular ones, but I think the thing is like when I listen to, like the Cult of Pedagogy, however you say it, and some of those other ones, the Successful Schools, Joe Sanfilippo was on, and I talked about that. Like, I always take away so much information, but sometimes I just want to hear something else for a while.
Yeah.
Like three guys, one of which is sitting on his back porch. As an idea. All right.
No,
Hey, I want to give Brandon Tim a shout out, who is listening in tonight. Tweeted into the hashtag, and I believe I was gonna try to get to it today, Brandon, but I didn't. I wasn't able to. He has started a vlog.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to listen yet, but that's on my radar too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it here shortly. Don't get too into it.
Oh, okay.
Just don't ruin my surprise.
As usual, I've done a lot of research for tonight's show.
Like looking on our doc that says.
Like the one piece of research that we do is have this doc, and that you can't even look at that.
Well, that's a lot of work, guys.
All right, so stick around, Brandon. We're going to talk about educating Joe here in a little bit. All right, so Dad Moment of the Week. So fortunately, it's still light enough. Those of you listening to the podcast can't see this, but if you notice behind me, those of you that are watching live or recorded, there's a huge shed back there. That was my project for the weekend, is putting that shed together. Now that I bought a new car, I'm a little bit more picky about where I park it, i.e. not outside where there's a basketball hoop that could land on it. Now, 3 months ago when I had my old car, I would directly park my car under that basketball hoop so that it would fall on it. But so we put together a shed, and it's fun. The two older ones are 8 and 5, and they can actually help out a little bit. So it's kind of cool to actually get them involved and doing something. And I forget where I heard it once, but someone I heard once talk about how kids need to just use tools so they can get used to them, and you can't learn how to use a hammer without actually hammering something. So
Mhm.
I bring my patients and hand my hammer over to either Maddox or Lane, whichever one, and let them pound the stakes in for the edging that is around the wood chips that are on the other side. So it rained all weekend, but we finally got everything put together in the garage, and then moved to the back on Sunday after it rained. So that
Very
was
cool.
my manly project of the weekend.
That's well done. That's a good job.
Well, I can read some directions.
And
There
it's still
wasn't a lot of
standing.
words. It was a lot of pictures.
It's still standing a couple days later, so that's
It
good.
is. There's stuff in it, so I mean, it fits, and the walls haven't fallen over.
That's awesome.
The kids have tried. They've ran into it. Oh well. Brent.
Yeah, no, those of you who are watching live can see my fancy, see that paint is like drying. I just down in my basement, and we've got guests coming from Baltimore. So as usual, uh, my wife has given me to-do lists to get things done before these guys show up. And so while I was painting, oh, sorry, the peanut gallery's chiming in. And so anyway, we are trying to knock that out before our guests get here on Thursday from Baltimore, and it's looking pretty good at the moment. I'm quite impressed with how quickly I got that done before the show began.
Well, we're glad that you could get it done so that
hmm
Josie could let you come play with the boys.
hmm
Thanks, Josie.
I'm not going to do a dad moment of the week. I'm going to do a husband moment of the week and give a shout out to my wife, Erin, for running the Lincoln half yesterday. I think that's the third or fourth time she's done it, but actually, I think yesterday's in like 2:26, and the one time we didn't go down and watch because it was cold and rainy and windy, and that didn't sound like a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna do a shout out to her tonight, and not my kids, for getting after it at the race tomorrow. And even a night before, I think she was still debating whether or not to go down and run in the rain and the cold and the wind. She did, and kind of ran her probably best one. So I will do husband moment of the week this week.
I probably would have ran fast too, because it was a horrible morning to run.
Yeah, no doubt.
I would have at least made it in 5 hours. If she made it in 2.5, sign me up for 5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the guest has arrived. We are so excited to be joined by Russ Goerend. Russ, it's been a while, my friend. Great to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Russ, you were doing so good.
We can hear the birds, Josh.
I know the birds are nice outside.
Cue the birds.
All right, Russ is back. Russ, you kind of froze on us there.
I know. Sorry about that.
That's all
Are we
right.
here? Am I good?
Yeah, we're
Am I
good.
live?
You're good now.
All
Now
right,
you're live.
all right. There we go. Thanks for having me. I'm nervous. I don't know why.
You know what? You can't destroy this show any more than we do on a regular basis.
There you go.
There's nothing but up from here.
Yeah.
So tell us a
So
little about
you're
yourself.
gonna stay outside or what?
So far, I should have got hot chocolate instead of water, but it's a little chilly.
Thought that's maybe what you had here, but
Hot chocolate and some whiskey, we're good.
There you go. Gotta stay warm.
Russ, what do you do for a living?
I am well, let me start with what I used to do. I used to teach 6th grade English. I did that for about 6 years, and now I teach a class called Designing Communication Solutions. And it is part of this program that I think we're going to talk about a little bit that we call Walkie Apex. And so basically what I do is I have 12 high school juniors and seniors, and should I just get into it? We just doing
Yeah.
it?
yeah,
Yep.
let's do this.
We have no rules. You don't have to ask, do anything. Just go nuts.
Go nuts. All right.
Yep.
So it's this program called Apex, and you get students out of the classroom and into the business. Half hours every afternoon, We have class actually in an architecture and design firm in downtown Des Moines, so it's about 25 miles from their high school that they have class at in the mornings. And what we do in the afternoons is design projects, media projects, marketing projects, videos, all kinds of stuff for these businesses. And it's that I use when I'm meeting with a potential client is, I say everybody's got a to-do list, and we're looking for the stuff down here, that it's on the to-do list. We don't want you making up anything new. We want stuff that's on the to-do list, but we want stuff that's kind of toward the bottom, that when new projects come into your business, they always trump this stuff that's kind of sitting at the bottom of your list. You just don't have enough bodies to get it done, and we want to provide that work for you. And so it's kind of a value in, value out proposition where the businesses get that value of getting the work done, and our students get the value of doing the work and working with these clients and learning the professional skills that it takes to actually do those projects and communicate with clients. And it's excuse me, I have a lot of people ask kind of like, what's different for you now? You used to teach middle school, and what's the biggest difference? Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest difference is that let's just move back the projects today. They're not my deadlines to move back. And so really, I went from being a 6th grade teacher to now I'm just a project manager. Essentially, I manage 12 projects for their clients.
And this is the first year of that, Russ, is that right?
It's the second year of the program, okay. But it's my first year. It's my first year teaching in the program.
Okay. So in the couple of years that it's been going on, can you share a little bit about what some of the feedback you've gotten from students? Maybe that is this a 1 year?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things. And oh shoot, sorry guys, I'm sorry I keep cutting out. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't have anything else going.
That's all right. You're up now. Every now and then you just keep dropping.
All right, sorry. So basically the gist is the program itself, Apex, is really a number of different courses. And so, like, my course is graphic design, but we also have a course that's architecture and engineering. We have 2 courses that are medical, and those courses meet in hospitals in downtown Des Moines. Mm-hmm. We have courses in the financial and insurance area, and those meet in banks and actuary. Like actuary, I don't know that stuff. That's why I don't teach those courses. But the idea is there's an advisory board of business and economy and like, and so then what are the experiences that we need to get the students to have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of answered my own question there, but what you asked was what are the students saying? And one of the things that I can tell you, one story that was really interesting is we talk a lot about communicating with your client frequently and iterating. And so so let's say my students get a project where they need to make a marketing poster for a client. Okay, and the client says, I need this poster in 3 weeks. Well, instead of the student just diving in, putting their head down, making a poster and giving it to them in 3 weeks, we say, hey, sketch something out, shoot them an email with a picture of your sketch tomorrow and find out if you're on the right track. That way you spend 1 day doing the wrong thing, then you can spend a week doing the right thing, right? And so I had a student say, Mr. Goerend, I've been doing this iterating thing in English. So when I get the paper, I write up an iteration quick, and I take it to the teacher to see if I'm on the right track. And I'm like, Ryan, that's awesome. That's drafting, and you're your teacher's been trying to get you to do that since third grade. Like I'm glad it clicked now, but this isn't new. But
Right.
I think it's just that idea that giving students this authentic context, they can see these things, and that's one of the things that we have to really talk about when we talk to the teachers in the traditional classroom. Is we're not trying to replace you guys. We're just giving them this different context for them to use the skills that you have been giving them in the classroom context.
So is the program, you said it's a couple years old, Russ?
Yep.
Where did it come about? Like, was it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it came about from a few things. We good? Am I back?
Yeah, back.
Okay. So one of the issues is we're just a really fast-growing district. We're the fastest-growing district in Iowa the past 5 years, and so we have too many students. And so one of the things is we needed a way to before we could build a second high school, we need to get students out of the building. And so that's one of the ways that this whole conversation started. The second thing is our superintendent is just a really forward-thinking guy. He's awesome, and so he was looking at a bunch of different models, and one of the models they looked at is the CAPS program in
Blue Valley has a CAPS program. Kansas City, Kansas. Just saying. And sometime, oh, there he is.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to try to go sit closer to the router. Maybe that'll help. You never know. Technology, right?
Try anything.
Feel free to talk and walk.
What did I lose you
We
on?
left off at CAPS.
Yeah.
Okay. So CAPS is a program in
Couple different places.
Anyway, we kind of worked with this school district down in Kansas, and got some ideas from them, and then just kind of remixed it to what would suit our district and our economy here in Des Moines.
Was that Blue Valley?
Yep, Blue Valley in Kansas. Yep.
Yep, I've been there.
Yeah, and those guys are great, and we really worked with them, and they were awesome. It's just there were some little bit differences that we wanted to go in a little bit different direction. And
they have did you get to go to their actual facility, like the building itself?
I didn't go, but that's what a lot of the tours did. They went down to their facility. We're in the process of building our own building. We're calling it the Waukee Innovation and Learning Center, and so it'll be open up this fall, and it's going to be awesome. One of the tenets though of our program is having those students out in the professional environments. So even when our building opens, that building is going to be a resource for business people in our community and in Des Moines, and also for our students. The idea is that when our students go into that building, there should be business people there. It should be a business environment that our students are walking into, which is just like the business environment that they go to, when they come to class in the afternoon.
Nice. So how did you then get selected? You've mentioned some of the other courses and things. Like, was that something your principals came to you guys and said, hey, if you're interested in this, you can do it, or how did that work?
Absolutely. So I teach, the class that I teach was taught last year by Michelle Hill, and Michelle is now so the director of the program last year moved on to a different position in a different district, just one of those things. And so Michelle moved up from the position I'm in to the director role. And this is where things kind of start to come full circle. Michelle and I had worked previously on the Film Fest, which I know Devin wanted to talk about at some point. And so when Michelle got her new position as the director, she called me and asked if I had any interest in pursuing, applying and potentially interviewing for this role. And I did. It's there are times where nobody's watching, right? I can just be honest.
Absolutely.
no,
Okay,
no,
I figured.
No
And
way.
so there are times where I miss the traditional classroom, because um, without exaggerating one bit, I literally do not talk to the class. I don't mean like lecture for 10 minutes type of thing. There's nothing. I don't, because we don't have time for that. They don't have time to listen to me. They have things that need to get done. And so, there are times, and I would say the other thing is, I I'm not a I'm not like a master of graphic design. I mean, I dabble and I'm been learning a lot more this year, but it's been, I mean, one of those things that like strokes our egos as teachers is when students can come up to us and be like, "I'm stuck. Can I have help with this?" You're like, "Absolutely. I know exactly how to do that. Let me show you. Well, here's my magic wand and I'm the smartest guy in the room." And that is not at all anymore what I do. I remember sitting in professional development as a sixth grade English teacher, and people would say like, "You should be learning from your students," and I'm like, dude, I teach sixth grade English. There's nothing I'm going to be learning from 11 and 12-year-olds about words. And so, but that absolutely happens on a daily basis now where, I mean, things will happen. Somebody says, "Hey, I'm not sure how to do this." And I'll say, "Well, I know that person does, so you're going to want to learn it from them because I don't know how to do it, but I heard them talking about it the other day." So,
So you mentioned you're not a master at graphic design, but I also know that you like to dabble in a lot of visual projects, visual side projects, and I gave you a hard time today about the prep popcorn review, and you kind of joked about other failed projects that you have that you've done in the past. But what is it about those creative things? Because I mean, that's what this is. I mean, Dad's It is just a side project for us, and we just because we enjoy it. We enjoy talking. We enjoy meeting people. So what is it about like the visual creativity that keeps you coming up with all these side projects?
yeah, I just like stories, and I know that's really cliche to say because everybody likes a good story, but there's just something about seeing just stories and wherever we are. And so, like, prep popcorn is a fun one, just because I like high school football. I'm a dude that grew up in the Midwest. I mean, so there's nothing unique about me enjoying high school football. And so, but I had a group of guys that we would go on Friday nights to small schools. We kind of all grew up in small towns, and so, I'm 6 blocks away from a stadium that's bigger than the one at my college, but we like to go to these small towns that have dirt tracks, so we can stand like literally on the sidelines to watch the game. And so, we just ended up at a lot of these small town football games. And I just remember, like, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I know it went something like somebody said, this popcorn's not as good as this other place or whatever, and somebody else was like, "Yeah, but these guys have that hot dog that, I mean, you got to get one," or something to that effect. And it just kind of clicked, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to bring my camera next week. And so it quickly got out of hand. We made one video, and then the next week I saw, I know what it was. I hadn't even made the video yet. This is how ahead of myself I get. I hadn't even made the video yet, but I happened to see the local TV sports guy leaving the game that I was at, and I just said, "Hey, you got to check out this video I've got on YouTube." Remember, I hadn't even made it yet. I said, "Hey, you got to check out this video I've got on YouTube." I said, "I think you're going to dig it." And so then I sent him a follow-up email that week when I actually uploaded it. And then since it's Des Moines, he's on TV and he's also got a radio show, and so they got a hold of me, and I went on I actually had this this is life. I had this these 2 radio shows competing to have me on, and so because what else are they going to talk about? So on Friday night before a game, I was on and we talked about where we were going that night, and so then their TV crew met us at the game and did a video of us doing a video of the concession stand. And then Saturday morning, I was on the different show, and they were talking about. So it's one of those things that my buddies thought it was cool when we were the only ones watching it, but kind of as soon as it went beyond us, they were kind of like, I'm out. But
I'm out.
That'll
yeah,
probably happen with Dad's and Ed too. Once other people start watching it, we'll be done.
yeah.
No.
But, yeah.
Um, so that's a fun story, and it kind of dovetails, I guess, into the film festival, which I did want to talk a little bit about because I think it's a really cool project. Could you talk a little bit about how that got started? I know it's coming up this week, right, for this year?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, 7th?
So, yep, it's on this Saturday. That's another fun one. You know, I just have a lot of ideas, and that's just kind of how I live my life. And so I spend a lot of time finding people who are willing to like organize my ideas and make them actually happen. And so I remember sitting down, Michelle Hill, again, the director of our Apex program, she and I were on the same committee, and we just kind of had some downtime during a meeting. And I think I just kind of mentioned to her, like, hey, I've always wanted to do like a film festival. Don't you teach video at the high school? And she was like, I have always wanted to do that too. And so it's just one of those chance encounters. And so really everything just kind of went from there. This year, I do have to say, we learned and took a lot of Creative Commons licensed stuff, but we took a lot from the Canyons School District out in Utah. And so if you look up the Canyons Film Festival, that we got a lot of the stuff from there, a lot of the ideas from there, but we've really kind of made it our own at this point. But yeah, so this is the third year for it. We have a district showcase, and then kind of the craziest part is this year, one of our elementaries, so we have, I think, 7 elementaries, and one of them, there were 2 teachers, and this is the thing that I love about teachers and education. It's just this is teaching, is 2 of the teachers were like, we really like this, and so they offered it during their, they're like a Leader in Me school, and so they offered it during their leadership time. And I remember I got an email from one of them in early January, and I think the subject was something like, uh-oh, and it said, we have 150 students signed up for the film festival. And he said, he's like, is it okay if I kind of put some hoops out there that they have to jump through, like a parent permission slip and a storyboard? I was like, you do whatever makes it so you actually can make it happen. And so they ended up with 82 filmmakers, made 25 films just at that elementary, and then they had some judges, I think just some teachers, vote on the top 6, and so those 6 will join another 15 from the other buildings for our district showcase this Saturday. And so I guess the kind of the rest of that story is the first 2 years we brought in a keynote speaker, and so my college roommate is a commercial editor in Chicago at an editing house, and so he came and talked about how he came to be kind of went from being in middle school and making funny videos to being an editor. And then the second year we had another buddy of mine from college.
Man, we were on a roll too when he got closer to the water.
We only have like 2 from the high school, and so we kind of we're like, let's scratch the keynote and we'll just kind of make it more about the filmmakers. So
and so when you talk about films, what kinds of films are the kids producing?
Yep, absolutely. So we put a 5-minute cap on it, and then I like that because, well, one, it makes it shorter, so it just makes the whole actual event shorter. But also, it there's that forced creativity where you give them a little bit of a box and they have to kind of fit in there. But so let's see, feature film, which is basically you write a script for it, so like a fiction, a feature film, a documentary, an animation, a PSA, and a newscast, I think, are what they are. Really, we'll take anything. We just don't really advertise that. We kind of want them to fall into those. And I would say I wouldn't be telling the whole truth if I didn't say that a lot of the reason that the whole film fest started was because I had a film I wanted people to watch.
Love how the truth comes out now.
That was it's like a great pause for effect there.
Watch
too.
it.
Yeah. It's very cool. I love it. Yeah, it's
Thanks.
my favorite thing that I see you guys doing.
Thanks. It's awesome. Henry's school. My oldest is a kindergartner, and his school is the one that had their own festival on this last Thursday. And man, I'm gonna get choked up just thinking about it. Just like what a cool moment for these guys. He's in a room where it's standing room only in the library, and the teacher says this is Henry Goerend's film Minecraft in Real Life, and it goes up on the big screen, and like he's just like glued to it, and all these and the really cool part happens in the film, and people like get it, and they're like, whoa, oh, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps. It is just, and I really like my goal with this whole film festival is just to plant seeds.
Yeah.
I just would love 10 years from now somebody to just be like, you know what? I'm so glad I made that thing 10 years ago because that put me on this track.
Hmm.
That's all we want from this.
Are those films share, like, do they put them anywhere? Can people watch them outside
Yep.
of the district?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, so it's just WaukeeFilmFest.org,
Okay.
and then I think there's a history tab, and so this is kind of cool. So again, full circle. One of the projects for my class is I have two students who the Film Fest is their project. So they're
Hmm.
marketing it, they're capturing all the information, they're updating the website, all that stuff. And so after this year's festival, we'll have all the films up and pictures from the event and that kind of stuff.
Very
So
cool.
yeah.
So Russ, you mentioned you got a little kindergartner. Any other kids? You have two now, yes?
Yeah, there's some around here. I can't remember all. No, we've got Henry's a kindergartner. Wesley, as my wife likes to say, is a three-nager, and Calvin will be one on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, little Star
So
Wars baby.
yeah, uh, I'm kind of curious hearing you talk about him and just sensing your passion around that and perhaps his education and how I think the first time I met you was at an ed camp, as I recall. You and your wife were there, and I sat with you and Josh. I forget we were like it might have was it I want to say it was Ed Camp KC, but regardless, I don't even know if he can hear me at this point because he's frozen. So perhaps I'll wait. Uh, can you hear
I
me?
think I'm back. Can you do it again?
Yep, yep. So anyway, I was saying how I think I may have met you at an ed camp and years ago, perhaps KC or something, you and your wife, when I rolled down with Josh. Anyway, I'm curious now because back then, to my knowledge, you may or may not have had kids. Maybe the little guy was first there, but not certainly not three.
Hmm.
And I think even at that point, I didn't have as many as I have. But one of the things we talk about on the show is, kind of this intersection of parenthood and education and being an educator. How's that impacting you now, particularly as your little guy's starting into kindergarten and more on the way? Like, what's that doing to you as a dad and an educator?
I vividly remember. I think my first tweet after Henry was born, besides like the picture of the baby and stuff, was something to the effect of I got a kid, we got 6 years to fix the system now, something like that. Bit just like I'm a dad, we better make it happen. I got a kid now. And now that he's actually in school, I mean, his kindergarten teacher is amazing, and I mean, and listen, she's not doing the stuff that people would write books about. She's not flipping the class and the da da da. They don't live outside. They don't have a garden or any of that business. I mean, she like, yeah. When we do prayers at night, she gets the first shout out. I mean, and the stuff that they do just to make him feel like himself. He just is learning who he is, and it's so amazing to see. And it's just things that I don't know, things that I don't have the context to do here at home, and so they just, man, those kindergarten teachers, they just love them so hard. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they do it. But she goes to his kindergarten teacher goes to our church, and every Sunday we have to hold him back, like wait until it's meet and greet time, dude. Like, but and he said like he'll say like I'm gonna miss Mrs. B, and
Dang it.
You know,
he is, and he comes home and it was art class, and this is what they did in art, and it was music, and this is what, and the school has so many opportunities. He's on the lighthouse team, and so he's a leader in the school. And just to see him, we've had nights where we have dropped our 6-year-old off at school at 6 o'clock at night because he's leading the parent night, and he's taken the families on tours of the building. And I mean, the opportunities that it's amazing.
Russ, it's interesting you say that. The kind of dichotomy of views there, where you're saying, boy, we got 6 years. When you talk about that kind of experience at school, though, like that's where school can really get it right. I mean, even if it's not, you mentioned it's not the flipping, it's not all the tech, they're not doing all this great stuff, but school really has the power to make that experience for kids an amazing experience. It also has, as you know, the kind of opportunity to do the other and make kids not like school. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about that idea that it's unfortunate that sometimes it's left up to chance. You might be lucky to have this great kindergarten teacher who is making Henry feel as though he's the only one in that classroom. And still, when you think about education in kind of this bigger picture, that's still a problem, right? Because he's going to go on to first grade and second grade and third grade, and who knows if that, if you have that same kind of experience. That's still a little scary, I think, as a parent. Mine are in 4th and 6th grade, and I think I continue to see that kind of every year. It's like, gosh, I hope that it continues with the kind of experience they've had.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that is kind of the scary thing. That is the scary thing as a parent, is you're hoping that you continually get lucky. The teacher lottery, as they say. And I think it's a good. I mean, we've gotten lucky not just in who he has, but that this was our first experience as parents, because it has really softened me. I mean, you guys have, I think we've all been at ed camps together, and I like to push. I mean, that's just who I am. And so this is the best thing that could have happened to me as a parent / teacher in the district, because I've been able to see, what the good that can happen without, like we've said, without all the bells and whistles. And so it's just it's a refreshing way to be able to go into next year, knowing that every classroom holds some possibility for this kind of thing to go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not to say that you guys know what I'm saying. I mean, there's things that need fixing or whatever, but I've realized that, like, that's not my job. Like, that's not my role. Like, that's not my role. And so I'm really glad to have had this as the experience.
Well, Russ, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We got a few other things to wrap up. You got time to stick around for a little bit?
Yeah, if my internet will hold out, absolutely.
All right. Moving actually helped quite a bit. So
I agree.
All right, so I have the Apper side of the week, which Brent stole at the beginning of the show. So, relatively new listener, Brandon Tim, let me get it right, at Brandon_Tim, also a member of the underscore posse, has started these Educating Joe videos. They are fantastic. So he bills it as educating his wife on what they're doing in school. But it's a great example of this is how I'm engaging my kids. And so, like, the episode 2, I don't know if 3 is up yet, but episode 2 was just about how he's using Skype. He's out in Aurora, central Nebraska. He is utilizing Skype to bring in experts to his classroom. And, he was kind of talking a little bit like what you're talking about with the film festival is just exposing those kids to science that they wouldn't necessarily get out in Aurora. So educatingjoevideos.blogspot.com. I will tweet it out to the Dads on Ed hashtag. Oh, I didn't warn you about this, Russ. So we're going to do app site. Actually, I did warn you earlier today. App site, Twitter follow, coming event, and then district spotlight. So I know you have an app or site because we've already talked about this, and I'm excited to learn about this one. So I will post my link to the Dads on Ed hashtag and turn it over to Russ for the app he wanted to chat about.
This Educating Joe, this is great. I love that. You know, it's like, have you guys heard of rubber duck debugging? So that's coders have a rubber duck by their computer, and the idea is you walk the duck through your code, and at some point you're going to realize what's wrong with it because the duck doesn't get it. And so I just love this idea of taking, you know, this outside perspective and explaining, you know, because you have to cut the acronyms. You got to cut through all that stuff and really make somebody who's not in there living it understand it. I love that. It's great. So good work out of Brandon. Good work out of you, Brandon. So my app is Day One. It's a journaling app. You could do what I'm doing in basically any app. I just think Day One makes it really easy to do. But what I'm doing is I'm writing a book for my sons. And so essentially I'm journaling, but the audience is them. And I think what one of the things that spurred it is, you know, I was looking through photo albums of my parents, and I saw this picture of my dad, like, without a shirt on, with these, like, super short cut-off jean shorts, and I was just like, who is that guy? Like, I knew it was him, but, like, I want to know who that guy is. Like, I want to hang out with that guy.
It needs some explaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, who? What? You know? And so basically that's what I'm trying to do is trying to kind of capture for them, like, you know, who is this guy? Like, what is going on here? And so it's not just me, you know, it's a lot of them and stuff, but I try to do pictures, but then I try to explain, like, what's going on or why I took the picture or what it mean, you know, what that moment meant to me or whatever. And so Day One has a real easy export to PDF option, and so it kind of turns it into a book. And so I don't know, I've got plenty of time to figure it out, but I think maybe when they turn 13 or something, I'll give them the book or something, like, or when they go to college, or who knows. I won't be able to last that long, I'm sure, but you know, I think it'll be a fun thing for them.
Yeah,
I know it'll be fun for me at least.
I did a couple of years ago now. I did a blog where I did a year of fatherhood, and every day was a story about being a dad, and it was a story about the kids, and it was one of the better, at least for me, like, cathartic experiences I think I've gone through, where I really was trying to most of the time tell it through text, but we were also using pictures, we were also using video. But blogged every single day for a year about being a dad, and it really was a great thing. You know, I think you'll get, you know, as you do it, you'll get a lot out of it too. You know, it's something that you're obviously doing for your kids. My girls, gosh, they must have been 2 years ago, so they would have been like maybe 6 and 8, 7 and 9, something like that. And so they would read along. But some of them were really, like, tough posts even for them to maybe read. I mean, it would talk about me and you know, on days where I thought I wasn't a good dad. You know, I did some things today that I wouldn't consider myself, you know, being a good father that day. So I look forward to you kind of getting through that. It's a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
He might be frozen.
Did you do that publicly?
I did, yeah.
I think I remember reading some of those. I think
Yeah.
I feel like I ran through that at some point.
Yeah. It was a great experience personally. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough to do every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Day One, Russ, isn't public right now?
My journal?
Yeah.
No. You can make individual posts public, but it's not like a private blog. It's a journal.
Yeah. I found, so I started doing picture a day. Man, probably like 2008. When was probably 2009, after Maddox was born, and I feel like it's gotten to the point now that their grandparents and even my grandparents would kill me if I stopped. I've created this monster that the kids walk into school and half the staff at their school has already seen what they did yesterday and will ask them about it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw you did whatever, and like the kids didn't even, like, it wasn't a big day or big part of the kids' day. It was a good picture opportunity. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So we had spaghetti last night for supper. We did. I remembered I had cereal this morning. Like, even I forget about what it is I posted about, but
yeah,
that's very cool.
I'll say the other thing that I do is I do these 1-second videos, and so I take 1 second of video every day and then just edit them together into a long, whatever it is, 6.5-minute video or whatever. And those are pretty good. I did one all last year. The year before, I think I made it until like June, and then didn't make it. But I'm keeping it going, and having Calvin, our youngest, kind of spurred me on to really keep going, because I had this thought that, you know what, if I keep going, I could have a second of like his entire life. You know, he could like watch a 20-hour-long movie of his whole life. That's kind of cool, you know. So, you know, I think when you pick up a lot of projects, like we all obviously do, I think you got to continually find what's my motivation for continuing this, you know. And for this is Dads and Ed, so for all of us, a lot of it falls back on our kids. You know, what's the story we're telling them? What's their story we're capturing for them? That kind of stuff, and you know.
Absolutely. Twitter follow, Mr. Catlett.
Yeah. I was just going to mention really quickly too. I once upon a time started like I have an email address for all the kids, and had this big goal of rolling it out to them later. And now my kindergarten daughter is like basically wants to be a YouTuber. So this video channel that I had basically created, I'm like, it's only a matter of time before she has the password and knows how to do it. Off, and I was thinking 18, but probably about third grade, she's going to pretty much ruin that whole. I got to come up with something better. So anyway, my Twitter follow, I tweeted it out to our hashtag Dads and Ed, is going to go to Dr. Gordon, Robin Gordon, out of Clever, Missouri. She is an assistant superintendent who I connected with this summer at Ed Camp Leader, Kansas City, and have since been in a lot of boxing chat stuff together, and just really appreciate her take on things from a leadership perspective, and everything she's got going on. And so she's just been a tremendous asset to my network. So anyways, I think she's definitely worthy of a follow on Twitter. She is rgordon04. So give her a follow.
You tweet that out.
Sorry, I couldn't get the button unmuted quick enough. Russ, who is someone that you enjoy following? Doesn't have to be educational. It's up to you.
Can it be kind of a funny one?
Absolutely.
Okay, I gotta see if I can figure out the. Oh, great! I'm not. Oh, here we go. Okay. So there is this. I don't know what if you call it a novelty account, but it's at Apple Finally, and all it does is tweet out articles where the headline includes Apple finally doing something.
I'll be right back. I got a Twitter account to follow.
Funny,
that is hilarious.
But there's just this. It's almost like it's like saying something about our news culture, you know, where a product will be out for 3 weeks and it can get a finally headline about it, you know. And so I couldn't even tell you if I've ever read any of the articles, but it's one of those that as I'm scrolling through my timeline, you know, I'll see one of those tweets and I'll just be like, yes, that is the world we live in, isn't it? So.
And so I just found it. And ironically, the last post they have, Apple might finally solve autocorrect fails.
Yes. So.
We talk about the society we live in, that somebody paid a buttload of money to make sure that you don't accidentally type the wrong butt or, you know, assistant autocorrects to a donkey. We get it. This is a family show. Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, Devin, what's on your agenda?
Okay, so upcoming things, and this is more. I'm going to share a conference. It's coming up. It's in Boston, and really I'm sharing because I'm heading to Boston in May, not for a conference at all, but for a vacation in June, and it just happens to be at the same time as this conference. So if anybody has any great tips for going to Maine, up to Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park, please send them my way. My wife and I are heading there for a week for the anniversary, 15 years this year. So we are flying in there, but that's neither here nor there. The conference that goes on during that time at the end of June is the Building Learning Communities Conference that Al November puts on. And I'm going to share it, and I don't know if anybody's ever been. I went for 3 or 4 years and I haven't been back for a little while. But it is the great thing about it is it's kind of a little bit smaller. I want to say it probably has, between 1,000 and 2,000 people. It's not huge, but does a great job of providing opportunities for sessions you might not normally get elsewhere, and keynotes that you might not see elsewhere. So I know, Josh and Brett, we were talking about keynotes the other day at NIDA, and talking about kind of the same people talking everywhere. At BLC, you really don't get that. The first year I went, I think the keynote speaker on the first day was a guy named Benjamin Zander, who was a conductor, and it was phenomenal. It was one of the best talks I think I've ever heard. I've had people like Conrad Wolfram and a girl at the time who was like 9, and Doris Svitek is her name. So just great keynotes, a different feel for a conference, and it's in Boston, which is maybe my favorite city, especially of the large cities. So the BLC conference, I tweeted out the link. I know it's probably not something for this year. It's coming right up here in about a month and a half. But if you get a chance at some point to get to BLC, I would encourage you to do so, because I think it's a great conference.
Fantastic. Well, Russ, you talked about the Waukee Film Festival, but anything else that's upcoming on your radar?
This recently happened about a week and a half ago. My parents moved to our area. So they used to be in Minneapolis. They're 4 hours away, and now they are 7 minutes away. And so our social life is trending up, I can just tell you. So
I saw your wife made it to Garth Brooks the other night.
Oh, wait, so do we have time for a quick one? Did you hear the story?
We don't. There's no ending to this show.
Oh,
so you talk as long as you want.
We're good. At some point. But no, so she had nosebleed seats with her friend. So Becky and her friend Beth went. They had nosebleeds, like section 319 or something. They're just kind of like, oh, you're just off over there. And so they went to the show, and they were just kind of hanging out in the concourse before the show, and just kind of having a drink or whatever. And Becky said these two ladies kind of came up to him and started small talking them, and they're just like, oh, hey, how's it going or whatever. And these two ladies say to Becky, where are your tickets or where are your seats? And Becky's like, oh, they're just kind of way up in the rafters. And they said, well, we work with Garth, and he likes to try to save some seats to kind of make people's night. So do you guys want to upgrade your seats? And they're like, sure. Second row.
Oh wow.
Second row. So she spent the whole concert 8 feet from Garth.
Wow.
Like you should see these pictures. I mean, like she could have strummed the guitar for him. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
How does she like the in-laws living 7 minutes away?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's going to be good. I mean, it already is good. It's interesting because both my parents are working remotely, so they're both going to be at home, working from home. And actually, see, I'm telling you, I love stories. So this is another one, like full circle. So my dad, 25 years ago, his first real job was working. He took over. Him and his younger brother took over my grandpa's transmission shop. So it was Goerend Brothers Transmission. Well, then when my sister and I started getting into sports, Dad didn't have all that time to give up anymore, because running your own business takes all hours. So he took kind of a more 9-to-5 job, and my uncle David took over the shop and just Goerend Transmission, dropped the brothers. Well, here we go. Fast forward to this year, and Dad's looking for a new job because they're moving down here, and David calls him up and said, I've got a job for you. I need somebody to do phone sales, phone support. He's like, you can work from wherever. Henry's got a baseball game, take the phone with you, step away when you get a call. So I mean, it could not be. Like I said, I am a sucker for a good story. So to me, like him ending his career, I mean, come on, like
that's awesome.
You can't write that stuff. So
that's right.
No, it'll be really good. They it's just fun where my mom swung, and that's just not a thing in the past. I mean, they've lived 4 hours from us since Henry was born, and so just getting the boys. I mean, Henry and I biked over to my parents' house the other day, and so it's just the kind of stuff that we're really excited about it. And Becky's parents are an hour and a half, so it's not too bad, and so we'll still see them, and yeah, it's good.
Well, I asked because my in-laws are moving to town, and there was a couple of houses in our neighborhood that were for sale. And my wife, full disclosure, my wife, I have stayed out of it. I haven't said a word. My wife is the one who said that might be a little bit too close for you. Um,
Yeah.
but I think I had seen the other night where you had ridden over there, and that was one of the things that we had talked about when they were looking at living here, because my parents live in a different town, but 20 minutes away again. But that
Yeah.
the biking over there, which is something I did when I grew up, when I was growing up.
Hmm.
That's kind of just a cool thing to be able to do that. In a couple of years, you can send him over by himself, and
Hmm.
that's gonna be a huge thing for
Yep.
him.
We just talked about communicating. I mean, we just said, listen, we will ask, and you can say no. And if you say
Absolutely.
no, it doesn't mean we're going to stop asking. And
Right.
I said, we
Right.
want you to ask too. Like, we want you to say, hey, can we take the boys for a night? That kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mhm.
my mom and I just kind of both said, worst case scenario would be if one of us was sitting at home saying, I wish they would ask. And
Yeah.
so, you know, just
Yeah.
lay the cards on the table. So.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. All right, we are moving into the district spotlight. Russ, we're going to ask you here in a minute for someone from Waukee to follow on Twitter. Devin, you're up first.
Sure. I'll share a couple of our instructional coaches. I share them because after a kind of professional learning that we had together the other day, we sat around and had a great talk about how to make some things better in the school they work in and in our district. And I can't get enough of conversations like that and being around people who are passionate about what they do and passionate about making things better for kids and teachers. So Carly Gates is a new instructional coach in language arts, or that she taught language arts middle school, and Nick Davis. Both of their handles are on the hashtag, but Nick and Carly are great people. They do great work with not only with kids but with teachers. And again, I like surrounding myself with people who are passionate, and they certainly fit that bill.
All right, well done. Mine, I actually just put on the Dads Under the hashtag as well. We started, it's actually an organization at Lewis Central. It's called Rebel, and it's actually a company out of Kansas City area that is focusing on positive self-image, especially for girls. So the chapter is very new, again, just a couple months old, but it's very cool. Just some of the things they do. I think Wednesday is Whiteboard Wednesday, and so they talk about stuff about themselves that they're proud about. Long legs or earlobe or whatever it is that they want to highlight. And so it's just very cool to see. One of our nurses has started it. It got her on Twitter and Instagram because that's where the kids are and posting stuff. And so the other day they were on Secretary's Day. They had chalked up the high school sidewalk, and so they were taking pictures about that. And so it's kind of cool to see them taking some ownership. And we have a high school and a middle school chapter. So if you go to their site or their Twitter account, you can see the national one. It's a little bit longer. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but very cool organization and something that we definitely need in schools. So
Awesome.
it is. I actually didn't say the actual Twitter account. It's LC_Rebel1. Um, so that's mine.
Okay, cool.
Callet.
Yeah. I'm gonna give mine to a elementary teacher in my district, Katie Lyons. She is at Miss _Lyons LYONS and the number 1. So at Miss Lyons _1, kind of like J_Allen. But anyway, Katie is just really getting ramped up. She is getting herself connected. She's participating in some Twitter chats and just kind of it's starting to bring things to her classroom, whether it be just a connection with an author or a mystery Skype or just different things. It's been kind of fun to see her getting ramped up with different things for her kids. She's a first grade teacher, and so anyway, I went over to her classroom the other day and visited, and just got a chance to visit with the kids, which was always refreshing for me. And just looking forward to kind of watching her continue to evolve with her evolution of getting connected. And she was participating in Kansas Ed Chat tonight and has plans to go to the Kansas Ed Camp and just really wants to kind of keep learning and growing. So I personally appreciate that with any teacher because of where I come from as a dad. I just want to know that my kids as teachers are, looking to improve themselves and get better at their craft. And so that's what I see in her. So I wanted to give her a shout out.
We've had the conversation many a nights about it's not about age. It's about teachers willing to learn and be flexible with new things. So that's awesome to hear. Russ, someone at Waukee that we need to be following.
Absolutely. So I've got a high school English teacher. His name is Drew Cummings Peterson, and his Twitter is at DrewACP. And Drew is an interesting story. He was a lawyer and then just kind of got the itch and couldn't escape it. And he is so amazing with students. 5 minutes with the guy and you can just see where his heart is. And he is just, inspirational. The way he respects not just students but everybody. It's the kind of thing that I like to try to surround myself with people that I want to be like, you know what I mean? Like a part of them, And like for me, like that's what Drew is like. I want to respect every person I come into contact with like he does, and I don't always. That's why I like really try to lock in on him because I need to get there.
Absolutely, we all have areas of improvement.
Yes.
All right, we have come to the end of the show. Regular guest Bill Little, I noticed he pointed out that we didn't take our normal week off. I didn't mention that till the end just because we didn't read the calendar correctly, and so we had already booked Russ and our guest for the 16th, Dave Guyman, and just decided that we try and play with that rest and go through the next. I think we did pretty well. It wasn't any worse than what we've ever done before. So hey, we on short rest we came through.
Yeah.
Russ, really.
Hey, I gotta say, can I get one last thing?
Absolutely.
This is awesome. Do you guys? This is like what, 52 or something?
53, buddy.
53, and can I just say, to be the 53rd draft pick to be on the show is like, I need to take a minute to thank my parents, and I got to thank my wife and my kids. And I'm just so. Is it like the 17th round, or is it 3 picks per round, or what are we doing?
You know what? Give me just a second. Pick 2006.
How did I drop this far? Was it character issues? Like what do I need to do here? What are we doing?
Well,
I can cook.
USC Suwa Cravens was actually the 53rd pick this year, in case you were wondering. So on your Twitter account, we noticed that you had a gas mask on, and so that was kind of what pushed you back down to 53.
But in all seriousness, I think this is awesome that you guys do this. I think you guys know what you're getting out of it. I'm sure you do. But from an outsider's perspective, just the being able to reflect on what it's like to be a dad, I think is awesome. For just this hour that I've gotten is making me grow. I can tell already. I'm going to be thinking about these conversations for a while. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the community.
Absolutely, thanks for that. We appreciate
that.
Well, we'll be taking our normal week off. We'll be back on May 16th for the last show of this school year.
Okay. I thought you were saying ever.
No, not ever. Well, unless somebody drops us between now and then. Russ, I don't know if you heard. We're featured. We could, but we're featured speakers at iTech in October, and so we kind of got to at least keep this gig up through October. Yeah.
This iTech?
Yeah. You need to come.
When is it? When?
It's going to be fun, Russ.
Yeah.
We get to be on the big stage.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you got to come. We get to MC this big event on the second day, keynote day. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm coming. I'll be there. You guys need to come to class. You're gonna be like 6 blocks from my class.
Okay, we will.
Done. In.
Honestly, we will.
Yeah.
I actually, as you were talking, I had that thought
Mm-hmm.
that I need to come swing by.
I totally
Well,
agree.
where are you staying? I mean, where are you staying? Let me
know.
just give you a little tour here, quick.
Couch? Where we're staying.
Couch?
Nice.
Come on.
It wouldn't be the first time I've slept on a floor or a couch somewhere. So
I
that's,
noticed
I
that
gotta-
that rocker over there looks comfortable to me. I've fallen asleep in quite a few of those. That Taste Lounge. Yeah,
There are a lot of toys back there, boys.
yeah.
Good. You even got entertainment. This is gonna be awesome.
Come over, we'll grill out. I'm being serious right now. Okay? You don't have to stay, but come over, we'll grill out. It'll be a good time.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
I'm in.
Okay?
All right. We will see everyone at Russ's house in 2 weeks. All right. Good night, everybody.
We'll see ya.